And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, Tom Vasel here, and today we're taking a look at the new version of Maharaja. Maharaja is one of the first of the new brand of Euro games that I played way back in 2005, and I really liked it. It felt different and refreshing. Instead of being the first to get to a certain number of points, you were racing around trying to build a bunch of statues, and if you built your statues before everybody else, you won. What a cool thing. So this is the reprint from Cranio Creations where they now it's whoever gets the most points wins. I'm not sure why that rule was changed, but we'll talk about that and more. Here we go. Maharaja is going to take place either over 7 rounds, or it can end sooner than that if someone gets all their statues built on the board. Each player has 7 statues, and if you build all those, then that's the final round. You're going to collect prestige points over the course of the game, but you'll also get prestige points at the end. 3 points for every statue that you've built, 1 point for every 5 coins you have, and 2 points for every city that you basically control. Players are going to be taking actions using their priest. Their priest is going to be moving around the board. And as you take actions, you can move your priest as much as you want. But your priest is going to move based on your villages. So you'll see here, let's pretend I'm the pink player. The pink player can move through these 2 villages for free because there's a pink house in each of those. The pink could also move down here because there's stuff in each of these villages, but they would need to pay a coin to each player there. So for example here, they would need to pay 1 to yellow and 1 to blue and another 1 to yellow. So they'd have to give yellow 2 coins and blue 1 coin. But other than that, you have freedom to do what you want. Pink could go all the way up here for free. Pink could move down here and simply have to pay blue a coin. But pink could not move here because while there's a yellow house in this village, there's nothing there. There has to be something where you're going. Now each round of the game, there's going to be one city that is where kind of a scoring is going to happen. And the Maharaja token is placed in that city. You know which city that's going to be based on a track here. At the very beginning, you're going to take the token that's at the end and move it up here. And that's the city the Maharaja is going to. In this case, the pink city. At the beginning of the game, you're going to be putting out character tiles equal to 3 more than a number of players. So you'd have 7 here in a 4-player game. You could pick them or you can randomly choose them, and you'll notice they all have a number at the bottom. At the beginning of the game, you're going to draft these, and taking the lower number means you're going to go first. So this 1 is great because he goes first, although you'll notice he has no other special ability. The rest of them give you special abilities based on what you're doing. You might have one that lets you move through houses for free. You might have one that lets you build things for a cheaper price. And it all depends on which 7 are in your game. Each player has 7 statues and a bunch of these little buildings which can be put out in villages and or temples. You have a spot for your prestige points and your money, but this is the most important part, your action wheel. Each round of the game, players are going to pick 2 actions. You can pick the same action if you want to on their disc, and then everyone's going to reveal them at the same time. So some of the actions are pretty simple. This one just lets you take 3 coins. This one lets you take 2 supplies and put them on your player board. So you're not going to start with all your houses. You only have so many of them on your board at the beginning of the game. This lets you take them from the supply and add them to your board. This lets you turn 3 money into 2 victory points. And then there's going to be some that let you build the houses / villages and to build your statues. Now when you build something in a city, so when you build this house in a city, a temple, it just becomes a temple, you put it around the outside. When you build a statue in a city, it doesn't matter what you're building in a city, your priest has to be there. So you have to be able to get your priest to a city. Each of these has a cost. It's pretty cheap to build the temples, but when you build a statue, it's going to cost 10 coins or 12 coins if the Maharaja is in that spot, because that's going to be scoring that round. When you build a statue in a city, you could put it in the middle, which is the best place to put it, or you put it in one of the 6 outside spots. 2 of those spots will give you a bonus. Like this one here, for example, simply gives me a victory point. This one lets me put 3 more houses on my board that I can build later on. And some of these spots here on the board allow you discounts, like this one gives you a discount when you're building, and this gives you a discount when you're building a statue. The other two spots on the board, this one lets you switch your special power with somebody else's special power or with one that's not being used. And this one here lets you move the city tiles. So remember I said at the beginning of the round you'll take the tile that's here and move it to the front, and that's the one that's scored. But I could move this. I could say pink and I move 1, 2, 3. Pink will move down, which means pink could score twice over the course of the game. In fact, it's possible to have the same city score 3 times over the course of the game. And that's because at the end of a round, you're going to have a city scoring phase. During the city scoring phase, you're going to score the city where the Maharaja is, and you're going to get worship points. The statue in the center place gives 3 worship points. Every other statue gives you 2 worship points. The shrines here give you 1 worship point, and if your priest is in a city, you get 1 worship point. So you can see blue has 3, pink has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yellow has 2, 4, 5, 6. So yellow is winning the city. Depending on the number of players, you're going to get coins based on your positioning. So in a 4-player game, first place gets 12 coins, second place gets 10 coins, then 8, then 6. But you have to be in the city to get any points at all. And then each person in that city is going to get a reward tile. You can take, I want 3 coins. Take this, put it to the top, and you're going to pick one of these reward tiles. Some give you this little token that you can use someone else's special power. This gives me a point and a money. This gives me some more villages. And so, again, whoever wins the city is going to pick first. If you don't have anyone in the city, no points at all, you still get 3 money, but you don't get one of those cool tiles. And that's pretty much the game. Now, there are variants that you can do. There's also a whole solo mode built in, but you can also change the way victory points are. There are some tiles that are included with the game where I can say at the end of the game, there's $5 is a point, but in this one, 4 coins is a point. Here, if I'm first in the city, I get 2 points. Just various ways here. If I'm first, I get 3 points. So if you want to change those, and of course, you're going to change out the different characters in the game too. I have a lot of issues with the components of this game, but this is the number one, the biggest culprit, this wheel itself, for 2 main reasons. One, this wheel is supposed to go here. It doesn't fit, and every single person who plays this game is going to be annoyed by that. Now, it doesn't say in the rules that it has to fit, although that shows where that goes, but really? 2 different circles cut? It's very irksome. But you can get over that. What you can't get over is this. These are spinners, and I have used tools to tighten these as much as I possibly can. But if you're picking 2 of these, and then I turn it upside down, it's terrible. I mean, and you could sit there and say, okay, well, I'll just hold them and then flip them over. Then what's the point of this wheel? Just give me, 9 different cards, and I'll pick the 2 cards of the actions I'm going to do this turn. I just found that to be really problematic. I also don't like the plastic in this game. The plastic it just looks cheap. Maybe if it had a wash over it so you could see the nice statue images on them, but I don't know. The board is beautiful. But that's really the only thing that I like. The symbology in the game is not tremendously simple. Every time we have these, we have to look up and see what they do. Now, some are pretty obvious what they do. This gives you a point every turn. But, what does that do? And you need to look them up a lot. Yeah, overall, I'm not happy. I'm also not happy. I get that India is like this, but the long board doesn't work well in this because either everyone's going to be looking at it sideways, or I just think a sideways board would have helped quite a bit here because only one player is going to see this based on where you're sitting. Now, don't get me wrong. The original Maharaja was boring looking, okay? The problem is this is not a considerable upgrade for me. The component issues here are big. This game it looks gaudy, but at the same time not good. The wheels and the symbology, it's very problematic to the point where I think a lot of people are not going to want to play it. But let's go apart from all of that. I don't personally like the rule change where the most points. Finishing and getting your statues built first was a neat aspect of the original one, and I don't know why they changed that. There are some really cool things in this game. You can do really neat combos. The movement over the villages and whether you have your villages there, that's fantastic. You want to build those villages in such a way where you can move around the board, but at the same time, why should I waste time doing that when I'd rather control these different cities that are going to be scored? And then also manipulating which cities are going to be scored. That's so cool. So mixing the player powers in with that, it's a neat thing that I think has held up till now. I like that. I don't like the implementation of the points at the end. It feels kind of tacked on. The ending to this game feels a little more anticlimactic than I'd like it to be, because even if you're the first one to finish with all the statues, there's a good chance you might not win. I really don't like that, oh, look, you can change how the scoring works. No, pick the one that's right. That's like pseudo-randomness thrown in, like, well, if you don't like the scoring, here's a different scoring card. What? Tell me which one of those is the best. That's the one I want to play. And I do like the randomness of the different characters. There's like the one character lets you move for free. That's fun because people jump around and move that one. And it's neat how the bigger the number means you're going to go last. But at the same time, you might not be able to build those statues where you want to build them, but you get a really cool power. But you might pick one that lets you go first, move around, then switch your power with somebody else, take that, use that really cool power. That's neat. This game has more good in it than it has bad. But I gotta be honest, Cranial Creations didn't bring it when they brought this one here. This is a lackluster second edition. In fact, it's on my list I just did last week of games where the original game is better. It's problematic. This is 2 in a row for Cranio. Barrage had a lot of component issues. Now this one has a lot of component issues. They gotta stop doing this because it's getting hard for me to recommend these games. This is a fun game in many ways, but there's just a lot of issues that are gonna make people kind of pass this one by. I'm not even sold necessarily on the cover. The cover's a little crowded and busy. But man, picking the stuff on the wheel, trying to outthink where everyone else is going, pulling off a cool combo, all that stuff's great. And it doesn't feel like it's a 2005 game. It has aged, I think, particularly well. And of course, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. I mean, that Kramer and Kiesling are the designers, some of the greatest board game designers in history. This end product could have been better. There's a lot of good in here, but you're gonna have to push a little bit for it. I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment. It's okay. Production problems are a hindrance.